Behold the wonder of a new attack! Today, actor Chris Bauer escapes the vampire-plagued bayou of True Blood and gives us a scoop on policing the undead. Plus, Tiffany Smith studies some history with the cast and crew of the very, very authentic Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
To me, it wasn't as far-fetched as it sounds.
Then it looks like the new Xbox's specs have hit the web. I'll have more in the feed. And in Gadget Prime, we'll smear the lens of the brand new teeny tiny 24-megapixel Sony NEX7 digital camera. Put on your comfy pants. Attack is starting now.
The one and only Candace Bailey.
Yes! I'm Candace Bailey. We're coming to you live. So, Rob, how was your night last night?
Terrifying. I'm glad you asked.
Why terrifying?
We found a black widow spider in
No.
my home.
No.
Yes, I attacked it in the sense that I turned around.
Where did you find it?
I ran away from it. It was under our porch in our backyard.
How did you find it under the porch?
I was going to water the plants, and then I said it yelled "Black Widow" and leapt at me. And we called the exterminator. I don't know. I'm afraid to go home.
That's so scary.
I'm gonna need to stay with you for a few days.
Okay, all right. You know, we had when I was young, we had a rattlesnake, a pregnant rattlesnake, in our backyard. And my dad killed it with a pitchfork.
Whoa!
Yeah.
I'm glad for you, but I'm sad for the future of snakes.
Why are you sad for snakes?
Because
snakes
you
are gross.
want to kill pregnant things.
Yeah.
It's one of I never kill pregnant things. It's sort of it's a pet peeve of mine. All right. Well,
You
hey.
wanna check out the interwebs?
Why don't we?
Okay.
Let's go around the net. All right. We're going to start things off with a little bit of barnyard action.
You know, we're no longer allowed to show animals doing it, right?
I know, and I hate that. But don't worry. This is pretty cool.
Oh. Oh my gosh, that's amazing!
Looks like Mobile, Alabama just got its own Cirque du Soleil.
You know, oh, that's great. That's great. You know, my dog, when she pees, she does a handstand. Every time. She does a handstand and she'll walk a little bit, walk a few steps. It's very bizarre. I don't know why that happens.
I feel weird saying this, but I'd like to watch your dog pee.
Well, I will try to get it on video and I will show it to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
You know, it's hard to go on the internet these days without running into a dozen awful movie remix videos. But there are a few genuinely awesome mashup artists out there.
And Pogo is one of them. This Australian made his mark turning Disney's Snow White into a trippy music video, and now he's transformed the modern classic Pulp Fiction into another hit.
But Pulp Fiction was John Travolta's big comeback.
Yeah, and I think you could use another one of those. I mean, because, you know, his latest offering was manually released. Honestly, if I were John, I would try and massage my career a little bit. Instead of rubbing out the same old gobbledygook that nobody wants to see, you should get a firm grasp on matters and pitch a tentpole event my whole family can get excited about.
Well said. Well said, Rob.
Thank you. And now a PSA featuring Kevin Nealon.
The former SNL cast member stars in this message for the animal rescue initiative No Kill LA.
But first, Kevin has thoughts on some other issues facing us today.
Hi, I'm Kevin Nealon. I'm here to talk to you about gonorrhea. And I'd like to talk to you about lazy ear. And I'm here to talk to you about the problem with cold Canadians. The problem is getting there are too many whales. And worse, today I would like to talk
Overrated?
about bulimic insomnia.
Backwards baseball.
Raise awareness.
Lower expectations.
Go to your ATM.
Talk to him.
Offer deodorant application.
Plaid malaria.
Doctors without underwear.
Kangaroo
impotence. I don't mean to scare
Texting
you.
while scuba
Can you read
diving.
my lips?
BYOB.
Northern Iraq. Y2K.
Mongolia.
Every day.
Tampa Bay.
Jars of clay.
Nail biting.
Bad posture.
Turf toe.
Fanny packs. Crack. I'm Kevin Nealon. There are a lot of problems out there, and unfortunately, we can't do much about a lot of them. But here's one you could do something about: homeless pets. Spay and neuter your dog or cat, or adopt them from an animal shelter. It's that easy.
That's a great video, but you're really stepping on Sarah McLachlan's territory here.
Oh, yeah, those PSA she does for the SPCA, they make me cry every single time, and I can't turn the channel. I cry, and I just stare at it, and I keep on crying. It's very
She's
sad.
hypnotized. I've seen it. It's pathetic. Mr. Nealon,
Hey!
take it from me. Watch your back. Sarah McLachlan might sing pretty, but she will cut you.
All right. You know, vampires, it turns out, aren't a recent problem as we face as Americans.
It's true.
Let me do that line over. Let me just do this again. You know, vampires, it turns out, aren't a recent problem we face as Americans. Thank you.
I agree. She said it twice. I felt it 2 times as hard. Our history with them goes back centuries.
The Emancipation Proclamation, the Gettysburg Address, Honest Abe may have ended slavery, but when it comes to the children of the night, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter has 0 tolerance.
How do you think audiences are going to react to this alternate take on the greatest president in history?
I mean, the real take on it. That's the way we treat it. I mean, that's what I loved about it, is that it made sense. It ties all the historical events. The vampire thing made a lot of sense. So to me, it wasn't as far-fetched as it sounds.
Walk me through your creative process, because I'm thinking you walked into a bookstore and you're like, Twilight, history section, jackpot.
That's exactly what it was. Honestly, I was promoting Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, going to all these different bookstores. It was the bicentennial of Lincoln's birth. In every bookstore in the nation, Lincoln display, Twilight display. I swear, that's the genesis of it. And the more I read about the real Lincoln, the more I got sucked into this idea that his life was the superhero life, his superhero origin story, and that's how we got here.
Okay, so when preparing for the role for Abraham Lincoln, did you ever think you were going to have to do intense weapons training and deliver the Gettysburg Address?
When I knew Timur was directing it, I knew I would have to expect the unexpected. So it was no surprise when they were, putting me in axe training. We get it. It's a ridiculous premise for a movie, but that's where the joke ends. We are respectful to Lincoln's legacy and his history, and that's where we put most of our focus.
So, Rufus, you play the original vampire in this movie. Do you feel like you're a little bit of a victim here?
I'm not a victim, but I'm a good soldier. If you were voting in the vampire elections, you would vote for this man because he looks after his people, he wants a nation for his people, and he sees himself as the president of his own kind, the kind of cigar-room deal maker for the vampires.
Presume you know what I can do with this.
Being a vampire hunter, you've got to have the right weapon. So you say no to the pistol.
No, you don't need it.
Yes to the axe, shotgun, bayonet.
Yeah. The Swiss Army axe.
You need the pistol, though. I'm like, the thing about Lincoln that scares me is the vampire has to be within 5 feet. I'm like, I want to get you 12 to 15 feet away so then I can work my way back into the crowd,
How would you compare Abraham Lincoln to, like, a 19th century Batman?
It's very similar. He lost his mother when he was a boy. His motivation was revenge first. He had a secret life and ordinary life.
His hat is his mask. His hunting coat is his cape. His axe is like a utility belt. It's got all these different tools and functions in it that Timur invented.
And he had a supernatural ability, which is to be honest.
The lesson to take from all of this: if you want to teach our youth about history, throw in some monsters and extreme violence. Now go see Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Class dismissed.
Thanks to this movie, we now know that John Wilkes Booth was more powerful than all the vampires. It's history. Look it up. But school is still in session as I try to make some sense of this crazy world. Great news for dirty birdies everywhere. Fleeting expletives, that is, unintentional profanity broadcast live, are no longer finable by the FCC. Good news, right? This new frontier for naughtiness was just opened up by a unanimous ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court, making it the first unanimous decision by the Supreme Court since they instated mandatory Margarita Mondays back in 1984. This means the FCC can no longer collect a few $100,000 for any unexpected spontaneous boners, such as the Super Bowl 38 halftime show, also known as the Teat Heard Round the World, in which a wardrobe malfunction proved to all the naysayers that those round things Janet Jackson hides underneath all that leather armor are actually boobies. Another example would be the time Cher accidentally dropped the F-bomb during the 2002 Billboard Awards, which, in my humble opinion, was her most riveting performance since Moonstruck. Or most recently on this very show when Jack Black of Tenacious D launched a series of expletives that weren't fleeting so much as they were continuous. Accidentally continuous.
And it's live, right? We're almost out of seconds here.
He is not a good person. Again, this only applies to random or unplanned mistakes made on live television. Here's an Attack of the Show pro tip. Just add the word whoops, and it's fine. Whoops. All right. Pull that camera. Nobody wants to see that for too long. And if you do, change your channel. I'll be on Cinemax. Anyway, ever go through your email spam, wonder? Ever go through your email spam? See how excited I am to be nude? Ever go through your email spam and wonder why scammers always say they're from Nigeria, given that anyone with half a brain knows that an email offer from Nigeria is as real as the North Korean space program? Well, it turns out the Nigerians are smarter than we think, because it's a deliberate tactic to get the most gullible among us. According to a researcher at Microsoft, it costs con artists time and money to pursue their victims, so they want to weed out everyone but those most likely to follow through, i.e. the people who won't even question why Africa's most populous nation would be offering them cash. You know, people like your Aunt Carla. Well done, Nigerians. But in case that ever stops working, we have some other suggestions on how to weed out the smart people. Anyone who's ever called the number on a Kleenex box to ask a question about Kleenex. It can be confusing. Members of the United States House of Representatives. Anyone who actually attempts to keep up with the Kardashians. If you want more suggestions, Nigerians, then contact us immediately with your details and full information for a quick and urgent response. Hey, in totally effed up news, there's been another zombie attack in Florida. Today, a few hours ago, yet another allegedly drug-addled human stripped naked and bit someone. Yeah, joining the ranks of the Miami face eater, the Canadian porn cannibal, and my favorite, the Maryland brain eater, who sounds almost genteel compared to those other two. In fact, things have gotten so apocalyptically bad that the Centers for Disease Control had to release an official statement. CDC spokesman David Daigle told the Huffington Post that, quote, the CDC does not know of a virus or condition that would reanimate the dead or one that would present zombie-like symptoms. Hey, government, if there is a zombie outbreak, just tell us. You know, a friend of mine recently asked the Boston Police Department about it on Twitter, and their response was pretty direct. The biggest... How great is that? BPD knows how to tweet. The biggest bummer about the CDC's statement is that we're getting all of the bad parts of zombies without any of the fun stuff. You know, like getting to rampage through a mall with a shotgun, knowing your in-laws are dead, guilt-free, super hot, end-of-the-world sex, and getting to feed the Kardashians to zombies, then killing zombie Kardashians with a chainsaw. Still ahead. I put my slacks back on, and we'll learn more about the zombie apocalypse that's totally not happening, according to the government. Stay tuned. Because we take zombies very seriously here, let's find out the real odds of a Walking Dead type situation. Joining me from San Francisco to help make sense of it all is contributing editor for io9.com, Lauren Davis. Welcome. I'm glad to see you made it to the studio in one piece.
It's very rough out there.
Oh, I know. And are you defended from behind? Because I see you're right in front of the Golden Gate Bridge there. A zombie could conceivably come right out of the bay and eat you. Are you armed?
I have them armed off camera.
Understood.
The key thing is that I have my back to the water.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, great. Yeah, because waterborne zombies are rarer, from what I understand. All right,
Yes.
So in any case, as we know, zombies are literally all over the country right now. Where was patient 0?
Well, there were actually a bunch of cannibal attacks leading up to this, but what most people seem to consider patient 0 for the zombie attacks are the Miami face eater.
Right.
And that's the guy who was found off the freeway, nibbling on some guy's face.
As one does.
Right, exactly. And what really had people crying zombie
Yes.
was that when the police officer came off, he shot the guy.
Sure.
And the guy kept eating.
So he was like really hungry. The funny thing is I'll eat a face from time to time, no big deal. But when I get shot, I'm like, okay, jig is up. That's silly. I shouldn't have been eating that face. But a zombie, their brain's all rotted out with zombie powder, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And you just don't notice those pesky bullets coming through.
So we asked our viewers on Twitter what they'd do if they saw a naked man eating someone's face. And Raptor Rivera, I think you can tell by the name, he probably knows what he's talking about, said he'd handle it himself with a baseball bat to the brain. Now, is that the suggested course of action?
If only we could solve all of our problems with a baseball bat to the brain. But actually, the CDC and the same fellow who swears that there's no zombie virus recommends not killing any zombies.
Right.
Leave the zombie killing to the professionals.
And now, go ahead.
If you see a zombie, you should try to quarantine the zombie.
Sure.
But do not attack the zombie.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, CDC. So I'll just go up to him with my mobile quarantine unit that, of course, I have, and do that. Yeah, no, I have a baseball bat. You can't contain me, CDC. I care about America. Anyway, this is not my soapbox. Could a zombie apocalypse ever really happen?
Well, fortunately, it probably wouldn't be as a result of these bath salts that we keep hearing about that are causing these face-eating zombies.
Sure.
But one possible way that you could have a zombie apocalypse is with these certain kinds of fungus that will infect bugs and actually control their behavior.
Sure.
And then when the bug dies, they take over the bug's body and just sprout out of the bugs.
Yes.
And there have been some theories that maybe if a pig ate some mysterious fungus and then we ate the pig, that might start a zombie apocalypse going.
Holy mackerel. Well, let me ask you this. We're always coming down on zombies saying, you guys, knock it off or whatever. Is there any upside to being a zombie?
You can still enjoy the finer things in life as a zombie. The Huffington Post actually recently just asked a bunch of wine experts which wines pair best with human flesh.
Right, okay. Yeah, I can imagine like a nice Cabernet, for example, would probably pair well with like a Canadian or something. Good, that's great. Well, listen, Lauren Davis, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, io9.com's Lauren Davis, zombie expert. Now let's scoop up some news. Sarah Underwood will be your server.
I will, and let's start the feed.
All the news you need to know.
It's Thursday Tuesday, June 21st, and here are your top stories. If you have an iPhone but want to upgrade when the new model is expected to be released in October, make sure you have room in your budget for new chargers and accessories. TechCrunch has independently confirmed rumors that the next-gen iPhone will ditch its current 30-pin dock port for a compact 19-pin connection. It is a majorly disruptive move for an entire third-party industry that makes accessories for Apple's portable devices, which have used the same dock connection since the third-gen iPod. And of course, it royally screws over consumers because they'll have to buy new chargers and accessories. But who are we kidding? We're gonna buy it anyways. Damn you, Apple. Microsoft is in the middle of damage control mode after an extensive document leaked online that described in detail their next-gen Xbox. Yes. The 56-page PowerPoint that revealed details about the new console was widely thought to be fake, but now Microsoft's law firm is sending takedown requests to sites that are hosting the documents, leading some to believe that there may be some legitimacy to the leaked information. So, if the documents are to be believed, the so-called 720 will have Blu-ray support, 4 to 6 times more horsepower than the 360, an upgraded Connect with 4-player support, and full backwards compatibility. In other words, really no huge surprises. Now, everybody needs to stop freaking out, Rob, over this zombie apocalypse stuff, and they need to divert their attention to the real problem at hand, all right? We are facing an ice cream shortage. Yes, the likes of which the world has never seen, all right? Well, all right, you know what? The shortage mostly affects Good Humor ice cream trucks and those living in the Northeast, but it's still a really big deal, okay? Caused by a combination of a warm spring, the closure of a manufacturing plant, and the company prematurely dipping into reserves that supply the majority of truck-based chocolatey treats. A spokesperson for Good Humor delivered the unfortunate news that the ice cream recession may not end until August. And one Long Island lawmaker is not taking the news lightly. No. He has held a press conference to voice his concerns about the unfortunate development, mostly because it affects the economy of New York. But what about the kids, man? The kids! Think about the kids! And finally, the movie Act of Valor may or may not have been your thing, but the guys behind the sleeper hit have another ace up their sleeve. An extended teaser for their new sci-fi thriller, The Prototype, leaked online only hours ago, and we're gonna give you a peek, just a little one. So shh, you don't tell anyone about this.
Now, we discovered that while you were at MIT, you wrote a thesis called Lazarus, almost a precursor to the current scientific movement known as singularity. Given that 15 years later you are creating a humanoid robot, do you still believe, like Dr. Kurzweil and many others, that mankind will someday evolve into, well, machines? Mr. Maxwell, something wrong? He's here somewhere. I can feel it.
Hey. You okay?
Nada. This has to be my focus. And right now, nothing else matters.
Talk to me, what do you got?
A nationwide manhunt underway for the experimental military drone that escaped from an FBI evidence storage facility in Nevada 73 hours ago. Hailed as the next generation of unmanned drone technology, the project was shut down after the robotic soldier malfunctioned. A mistake that resulted in the death of all 18 employees of Accelerated Dynamics, including genius inventor Alex Maxwell and his team.
And how are we doing?
Go, 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 go!
That is like my kind of movie to a T. Now, the prototype doesn't even have a distributor yet. I don't even know how, but I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing this in theaters really soon. I'm Sarah Underwood, and you have just been fed. Now, over to Candace.
Thank you, Sarah. Still ahead, Chris Bauer from True Blood will be here live, so don't go anywhere. For real, don't go anywhere. Between the nude scenes and the vampire drugs, True Blood keeps today's guest very busy. Please welcome Chris Bauer. Now, let's face it, thank you for being here first off.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Now, let's face it, True Blood is basically vampire porn where the actors are routinely just stripping off their clothes and having crazy sex scenes. But did you know that you would be getting naked this season?
I was in charge of turning it into real people porn, basically.
Because you're not a vampire.
Huh? I'm not a vampire, and I am a real guy. I'm a real 45-year-old guy with a real 45-year-old ass, which everybody saw.
Just talk me through this process. How does it work when you're shooting a nude scene like this? Did you like do a bunch of push-ups and squats and like, I don't know, things one would do to get ready for a nude scene?
Well, you know, when you're talent challenged, that's kind of the way you go.
Because I hear some of the people on your set do that.
Well, I didn't want to say anything, but I mean, you know, no, I go into kind of a emotional blackout and then squeak out.
Cry yourself
I
to
literally
sleep?
squeak out the other side. I'm naked with a Muppet on my crotch.
What does that mean? A Muppet?
Well, they have this, they call it the sock.
Uh-huh.
I don't
I've
know
heard
why,
of the sock.
it's more of a, it's more of like a flesh-colored purse. It's got a real sort of Shakespearean kind of look to it. I don't know why.
Is it one size fits all?
It's 3 sizes.
Really?
Yeah.
So does anybody lie about their size and they're like, oh no, I need the bigger one just to fake
Everybody.
it? Everybody.
To be totally honest, I probably could have squeezed into a medium, but
You're like, no, I need the
I was
extra
like-
large
I was
over
like,
here.
I need the large. Give me the large. Yeah.
So you're on set, you're completely naked,
Mhm.
and you just do the scene. Are there a lot of people around, or is it like a closed set?
Yeah, no, I mean, no. There's people everywhere. And
Okay.
it's like I have years of practice of sucking my stomach in, so that was like, you know, that was no problem. But we've been doing this show now for 5 seasons, and it's pretty much the same crew, so they have no respect for you whatsoever.
That's great.
So at one point there was a let's see how I can describe this. There was a sequence where a character was gonna block my naked crotch, and someone suggested they put their hand up to block it for the camera, and the sound guy said, "How about just the pinky?"
Bunch of jerks.
I know.
Now they spray painted your butt, right? Not
I wouldn't
spray
say
paint, but
spray.
like
It wasn't like graffiti. You know, they didn't tag it.
Do they
but
tone it?
It was like.
Do they tone your body?
Yeah,
like
they
give
do.
you more muscles?
Yeah, they
and-
do. They shade in a little bit. And Bridget, who many people have talked about, are amazing, gorgeous, like 10 Barbie doll looking gal. So talented, has to get down on her knees with a paintbrush and like paint in all of the
Lucky girl.
all the unique things about your body.
I love these secrets. This is awesome. Now, since you're a human on the show, I'm guessing you don't get the kind of fan mail that maybe the vampires get.
I don't, and I'm glad. I mean,
What do they get, or what do you get?
I get like good old-fashioned, I love your character, man.
That's great.
You know?
That's good. That's great mail.
You know, no, it really is. It's really sweet. I mean, look at, I wouldn't complain about anything. The kind of feedback I get is literally like, I love your work, that kind of stuff. Those guys are asked to do like, you know, borderline illegal things all the time.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. But
Yeah.
speaking of your work, you were also on The Wire, one of the greatest shows ever.
Yes.
Now, how are fans of The Wire different than fans of True Blood?
Well, I don't want to, you know, I'm so grateful for all our fans, and the True Blood fans are fanatics, and they get their fingers out and they tweet and they do all that stuff, and in a lot of ways, you know, we exist solely because of them. Wire fans become president of the United States.
Because President Obama does love The Wire, right?
Yeah, he does. He's apparently really into it.
That's great. Now, really quick, you're really into this underground wrestling league. Can you tell me about this?
Yes, pro wrestling guerrilla, run, don't walk. It is a, it's a.
What does that mean?
Well, basically, that's the name of their group, and it is an independent wrestling league. It's like no body distortions, none of that sort of stuff that people think of with wrestling. It's basically like the punk rock of wrestling. It happens every 6 weeks in Reseda at the American Foreign Legion post.
That's really cool.
And I am telling you, for the money, it's the best ticket you can buy in this town.
Would you ever jump in and wrestle?
Would I what?
Ever want to jump in and wrestle?
Let's go.
Let's do it! Let's do it! Thanks to Chris Bauer. Watch True Blood Sundays on HBO. You're awesome.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. Matt Myra's going to show off an itty-bitty camera in Gadgetron. Check it out. Very nice to meet you. All summer long, join us as we welcome guest hosts like the Nerdists Chris Hardwick and comedians Michael Ian Black, Baratunde Thurston, Mark Maron, Paul Scheer, and Mo Mandel. It's Attack of the Show every weeknight at 7, 6 Central, right here on G4.
Behold the future of photography. Spoiler alert, the future is tiny. Digital SLR cameras are getting smaller and smaller these days. The birthchild of this trend is the Sony NEX7. The NEX7 packs the power of a big, clunky SLR into a point-and-shoot form factor. This camera has a 24-megapixel sensor that can snap 10 frames per second. The NEX7 also shoots 1080p video and has a 3-inch adjustable LCD. You can purchase this hot new camera starting at $1,200. Welcome back, Matt Myra. Hey! Now, the cameras on our phones are convenient, but they kind of suck. Yes. The Sony NEX7 digital camera wants you to take it everywhere and make your photos better.
Yeah, and that's why they made this thing tiny. I mean, for its power, it's less than 2 inches thick, which is impressive. The goal is to compete with digital SLR cameras, and it's definitely winning in the size department. The body is really light, and the lens sort of dominates the device. The design's a little awkward at first, but you get used to it after a while. And Sony ditched the touchscreen controls of the NEX5N, which is great because I hated them. On the side, you have an HDMI input as well as a mic input, which is great. So if you're going to do some video, you can record with a fancy type microphone. On top, there is a pop-out flash. Boom. Whoa! And that you can tilt it up and get some bounce fill if you want. That's pretty fancy stuff. And you don't have to shine the light right at your object's face and then make the weird face. There is an electronic viewfinder on here, which is nice. A lot of times with these micro Four Thirds cameras, you don't get that. And the LCD on here is great, too. That pops out and tilts. Pretty much any angle you want.
Wow. So now this camera is trying to compete with digital SLRs. How's it do?
It does really well as far as pictures are concerned. Take a look at these fancy flowers. I think a lot of people wouldn't be able to tell the difference between these pictures and a Canon DSLR like the T3i. And if you can, you are a robot, and we need to destroy you. That's in tomorrow's loop. This is a 24-megapixel sensor, so it's incredibly high resolution. That's a ton of megapixels, you guys. So many. Look at that. What really differs from the DSLR, though, is the functionality of this.
Yeah, I'm told people looking to drop big money on a DSLR camera are looking for shooting options. How's this little guy stack up?
It actually stacks up quite nicely. There's a ton of manual controls on here, and they're all done in software. So the physical dials on the camera do different things for each shooting mode that you're in, which can get kind of confusing. The kit comes with an 18-55mm lens. It's not the widest focal length, but it's a great first lens for this camera. And of course, because it's Sony, that lens is proprietary. So none of the other camera, like if you have a Nikon lens or a Canon lens, it's not going to work on this. So I think it's a huge drawback, but because it's Sony, they don't care what anybody else thinks.
So this camera can also record moving pictures, aka videos.
Yes.
Yeah, how's that on these?
Well, I will tell you, the video quality on this is very good. Hang in there, Rob. As you can see, this is not something that Sony just threw on there. And as the fountain's moving nicely, it's a legitimate camera. Look at that shot of that. There's a nice depth of field there. It's great. It records 1080p video at 24 frames and 30 frames a second. And the audio from the stereo microphone on here that's built in is not bad either. There is some stabilization issues, so you're going to probably need to put it on a tripod or not drink as much coffee as I did.
How easy is this camera to use for someone who's not familiar with fancy cameras?
Well, there is a learning curve, but it's actually pretty easy. I mentioned before the manual controls are not amazing, but there's an auto mode on here that's very solid. It's called Intelligent Auto Mode. Look at it, it's detecting that it wants a portrait of me. Then my giant face moves forward. God, I have great eyes, everybody.
You really do.
And then it goes macro. So it detects what kind of portrait you want to take. If you want to take a landscape, portrait, or macro, it automatically changes the settings for you because it is self-aware. It's not really self-aware. Don't buy it because of that. It actually worked pretty well, and I think the camera, like its predecessor, is good. It's a happy medium between a point and shoot and a DSLR, so ease of use, thumbs up on that.
Right on. Now, you can get the Sony NEX7 for $1350. What's the verdict?
Well, my shiver might tell you. It's a 4 out of 5, everybody. It's a very powerful camera for its size, 24 megapixels, and it looks great. The video recording quality is excellent, but the price is what's really holding this back from a 5. $1350 is very, very expensive, and there are plenty of DSLRs that you can look for in that price range. The previous one of these was $700, so that's a big jump.
Well, I was standing here, I used math to determine that that's almost twice the price.
You went to college, folks.
I did. Well, that is it for today's Gadget Prawn. But if you have a gadget you'd like to see us rate, email us at gadgetprawn@g4tv.com.
And now, over to the ladies. What are they doing?
Hi! Oh, hi! Sorry about that. The San Diego Comic-Con sold out in 90 minutes, but fortunately for you, there's television.
Yay, television! We'll have 3 days of exclusive live coverage from the Comic-Con floor presented by Neo Energy, beginning Thursday, July 12th at 7 p.m.
On Friday, our coverage will be co-hosted by Chris Hardwick, and then on Saturday, we'll be joined by Doctor Who and Torchwood star John Barrowman.
Yeah! See you then, only on G4. Coming up, Galactopedia spoils what happens to our part of the cosmos. Stick around. On the next Attack of the Show, we welcome back guest host, the Nerdist himself, Chris Hardwick. He'll sit down with actor Donald Faison, who's here with his TV land show X's. Also, Matt Meyer rates the new Samsung Series 5 Chromebook in Gadget Prawn. Then Chris Gore checks out new Blu-ray releases, including 21 Jump Street and Wrath of the Titans. And Tiffany Smith gets cuddly with the cast of Ted, including Mark Wahlberg and Seth MacFarlane. Coming up next week on AOTS.
And now, when galaxies collide, Galactopedia has news of the end of our galaxy. Spoiler alert.
35 years ago, the Voyager 1 spacecraft set off on its mission to study our solar system. And even as it prepares to head past our solar borders, we continue to search the skies to find our place in the universe. First, we head back in time, specifically 13.7 billion years ago.
NASA has observed what might be the first objects created after the Big Bang. Using infrared images captured by the Spitzer Space Telescope, astronomers believe that they have discovered the first stars, galaxies, and black holes formed just 500 million years after the birth of the universe. Though these celestial bodies are too far away to be seen individually, NASA scientists believe that they are numerous in quantity and are tremendously bright due to the massive amounts of the cosmic fuel generated by the Big Bang. With this discovery, researchers intend to use these images as a roadmap to our universe's past and hope to find exactly what and where the objects are with the launch of the James Webb Telescope in 2018. But from the dawn of time, we head to our future where our Milky Way galaxy is on a collision course with our neighbor galaxy, Andromeda, located 2.5 million light years away. Last month, astronomers with NASA announced that they could predict with certainty that our two galaxies are destined to crash into each other and form a new hybrid elliptical galaxy. Using the Hubble telescope, scientists found that the mutual gravity between the two galaxies is slowly pulling them towards each other at a rate of 250,000 miles per hour. Fortunately for us, the collision won't occur for another 4 billion years. And finally, we head back to planet Earth, where NASA has just launched a transforming telescope into space. Yep, a transformer. Called the Nuclear Stereoscopic Telescope Array, or NuSTAR, this 772-pound satellite is the world's most powerful X-ray telescope and will spend the next few years studying how stars die and black holes form. To capture these images, however, the NuSTAR will have to expand itself 33 feet. This will help in reflecting high-energy X-rays from its mirrors at one end to the sensors at the other. Scientists expect these images to be improved by a factor of 10 to 100 times that of previous X-ray telescopes. Hey, we may not have found the keys to the mysteries of life, but every day we are getting one step closer.
It is time for today's death-defying epic fail.
Yeah, the French word parkour translates literally to gravity's bitch. Okay, a good friend calls an ambulance, and a great friend runs up with a camera to make sure it gets the close-up.
Of course. Fails all around.
All right, well, why don't we take a peek at the Twitter wall?
I think we should do that. Patroxy11, who on the AOTS staff would be the first to get eaten during a zombie apocalypse? Also, I would like to apologize for all of Florida.
The whole state of Florida. But we accept your apology. I would say I would be very likely to be eaten because there's more meat on my body than anyone would like. But you told me you don't like to run.
I hate running.
And I wouldn't run.
I'm the worst runner. Although I think if a zombie was trying to attack me, I would be a great runner.
Yeah,
but
you probably would
I have a really good idea. Since you're a great runner,
yes,
I'm really good with weapons because I learned how to shoot guns. So you carry me on your back and I'll just shoot at people.
That sounds good. I like that. Like a reverse chicken fight, flying metal.
Yes.
I'm into it. Come on, Florida zombies.
So, Rob, you're doing shows in LA this weekend, right?
Yeah, I'm headlining the Hollywood Improv. 2 shows on Saturday, 8 p.m. That one's sold out. I think the 10 p.m. might have some tickets left, so I need you to come out
book
there.
'em.
Yeah, come and get them.
Where can they get them?
You can go to HollywoodImprov.com. That's a website, and get your tickets. Well, listen, thanks to Chris Bauer, Lauren Davis, Matt Myra, Tiffany Smith, and Sarah Underwood.